This is true.
abbey in the area. The abbot there was in charge of 100 different churches and abbeys throughout southern France at one time. And so there was a lot of riches that came into that particular abbey. So it's quite a magnificent abbey. It's divided into two parts. There is still a part that is a Benedictine abbey with about 30 different monks there. But there is the other part became a public building. In fact, one time during World War II, rather, was housed orphans. But now it's being turned into a museum. And there's some beautiful artwork and restoration work that is going on there in La Grasse. And then La Grasse is also known for a lot of its artisans. And there's a program there that marks the different shops, and there's a sign outside that says basically my artwork is created here in my workshop. So you're not buying something that is from the indigenous people of China, but instead you can go in and watch people making their crafts and buy things there as well. We had lunch in that particular village because it happened to be the opportunity for the chef to go shopping. The chef goes shopping on Wednesdays, and so we went out to lunch instead. Yesterday our outing was to a local wine producer to do some wine tasting, and so we got a chance to do that while we were here. And then today our last outing will be to Carcassonne, And so I'll continue this after that particular outing. And it is after that outing, as promised. Yes, a few weeks after that outing, I will do a week in Slovenia after this trip wrapped up, which we'll be talking about next week. And then have been back and doing some work because I started a full-time job and also did a press trip to Las Vegas. But let's finish this story. Carcassonne did not disappoint. I think that's really the bottom line here. It is a beautiful walled city. It was restored in the 1800s, although it's amazing from the pictures how much of it still was standing, how much of the walls were still there. It is also amazing to me how many of the walls you could still see, not just the medieval walls, but you could see the portion of it that was built by the Romans. This was originally a Roman city and a Roman fortress, and some of that is still preserved. It has undergone many changes through the years, and when they went to do the renovation in the 1800s, they chose the time period of just after that crusade against the Cathars. That was going to be the time period that they wanted to capture in terms of the renovation. Because after that time period, there was some significant rebuilding of the city, redesign of the city, and so they have to kind of choose one time period because there are so many things. The city is such a vibrant, constantly changing place that when they do this renovation, they kind of have to decide renovate to where. It is a very touristy city. It gets a fair number of tourists, so you can certainly dress up in medieval armor and get your picture taken and all that sorts of things. You can buy your Carcassonne plastic sword and all those. But it is a beautiful city. You can get out and walk the walls of the city. You can also tour the main keep of the castle and see that. It's up on a hill. And what happened was that the people who were in the city at the time of the Cathar revolt were expelled from the city, those who were not Cathars, those who were faithful Catholics, because they had harbored these other people, and they were told to go build a city down the hill, away from the defenses of the fortress. And because of that, the new city built up down the hill, and that preserved the old city here at the top of the hill. Definitely something worth seeing. It was wonderful seeing it in April on a beautiful day, because there were not that many tourists there. It certainly gets a lot busier in the heat of the summer, my understanding is. I'll put a link in the show notes to my pictures of France, which will include the Canal du Midi and also this city of Carcassonne, if you want to check those out. But I would strongly recommend both flying forward in Carcassonne and going to see the city. No specific recommendations. I would spend the extra money to go into the keep, the inner fortress of the city. It's worth the time, and then I would take some time to shop, to eat, or to even stay. There's some lovely hotels right in the old city. And that was our trip on the Canal du Midi. Amazing trip. The trip was sponsored by European Waterways, and all of the bookings for the Enchanté as well as the Finesse, the sister ship up in Burgundy, are done through European Waterways, and European Waterways handles the bookings for quite a few different canal barges, luxury canal barges. And so if this is the kind of trip you're interested in, there's certainly a great resource to go there. This is a luxury trip, and so this is not inexpensive. But that's really an intentional choice. They found that you could pack a lot more people on a barge, and there are some that used to do that, as I may have mentioned earlier, but they really found that giving people a much more custom, a much more personal experience is really what a lot of people are looking for. Wonderful, relaxing trip. You can't do the Canal du Midi independently, although that's going to be quite a different experience. One of the questions I usually ask our guests is one thing that made me laugh and say only in the Canal du Midi, and that for me was trying to turn around a 100-foot barge in a canal that is not 100 feet wide. And it was quite a thing to watch because they basically went to where there was a small stream that went into the canal and managed to put the nose of the barge into that, just making enough room to turn around. Thought for sure we would get stuck, but I guess they do it every time. But it is a narrow canal, and so trying to turn around a big barge boat is not an easy thing. And if I had to summarize the Canal du Midi, I would say relaxing, delicious, and medieval, because you still get a lot of those medieval cities along the way, including that city of Carcassonne. In news of the community, I heard recently from Kathy, who said, hi, we just listened to the 2017 podcast on Tokyo.
Hello.
And wondered if there are notes available anywhere. none of the place names were recognizable, but we're going there on Tuesday and would love to see these sites identified in writing. And we've talked about this before, but I need to bring it up periodically. Yes, for every show we do, there are show notes which usually will then name the places. We will have gone to the trouble of looking them up and putting a link to some website about them, maybe the Wikipedia site or something else, or an article about those particular sites. So that's a great place. You can always find those at amateurtraveler.com, or if you look in the lyrics of the episode you're listening to, there are links in those lyrics. The same information that goes in the show notes goes in the lyrics, as well as a link to the show notes. So you can always do that if you're looking for where to find them. With that, we're going to end this episode of Amateur Traveler. If you have any questions, send an email to host@amateurtraveler.com like Kathy did, or better yet, leave a comment on this episode at amateurtraveler.com. And thanks so much for listening. Today, the Amateur Traveler talks about beaches, snorkeling and scuba, slavery, sugar plantations, and even an ostrich farm as we go to Curacao in the Caribbean. Welcome to the Amateur Traveler. I'm your host, Chris Christensen. Let's talk about Curacao. I'd like to welcome to the show Wendy Blumenstein Elliott from AdventurousRetirement.com, who has come to talk to us about Curacao. Wendy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chris. I'm glad to be here.
So, what is your connection with Curacao?
My husband and I went to Curacao for the first time about 15 years ago, and we've been back 10 times since.
Oh, wow, okay.
And in the last 5 years, we've spent at least 5 weeks, or we just got home from 6 weeks in Curacao.
I have been there one day. You have been there much more than I have. Why should someone go to Curacao? What keeps bringing you back?
Well, Curacao is just a beautiful multicultural island, and it's outside of the hurricane belt. The weather is, I think, perfect. It ranges from 75 to 86 degrees almost every day. It's partly cloudy, partly sunny, and you don't want it to be sunny all the time. You're so close to the equator. And you've got those beautiful ocean breezes. And it's a great balance between the sea and the activities around the sea, as well as wonderful places to hike with mountains. And also, food is excellent. It's a combination of Dutch, Creole, African. There's just so many things about Curacao that I love.
And in terms of seeing Curacao, so we've talked, well, let's put this on the map first. So we're talking about an island, as you said, outside the hurricane belt, but that was because it's in the Caribbean. Other islands in the Caribbean are in the hurricane belt, but here you're closer to South America. You're south of Cuba, down the east, Rodeo and Curacao.
the island where everything comes together from the sea. So there's actually 3 different currents that come together. It's such a gorgeous spot. And to walk all the way out to the sea, you're way up above the sea, and you're on what was once Coral. So you could do that walk.
And you say kind of longer. We're not talking days, so we're talking a couple hours?
Yeah, to walk out and back a couple hours. So if you get there at 8 in the morning, you can get back to the beach by 10.
All right.
Generally, it's a great beach to go for a swim, but if you want to see a different beach, just down the road, and again, ask them at the Go West Dive Shop. And I also recommend renting your equipment from them if you don't have